I guess we'll go ahead and get started here on Varroa management. And this is, I'm Dr. Leonard Davis, veterinarian here in Louisville. This is a little Sharpei puppy, and it has extreme dermatitis and infection, secondary bacterial infection. There's a primary cause of this problem. Anybody know what it is? It's mange. What causes mange? Mites. It's got hemodectic agariasis, also called red mange. And it's going to need a lot of treatment. It's going to need really a care site of some sort. And one of the things we've used in the past with them is something called mitoban dip. And mitoban actually is anthrax. And that's what we had to use. And can't get mitoban anymore because they've stopped making it because the other newer flea control products like Simparica, Varroa, all this kills hemodectic mange, which is good. So we don't have to use toxic chemicals on them like we used to, but we still have to kill this thing on our bees. Number one killer of colonies is the Varroa mite. First discovered in the United States in the mid-1980s. And I'll go over this real quick here, life cycle of the mite. So, mites actually, here in the reproductive phase, get into an open cell where the larva is, about 5.5 days old larva, and then 15 to 20 hours prior to the bees tapping it over. And then actually mite has a female mite or founder's mite has a little breathing tube it pulls up called a peritoneum, and it can breathe under that little worker jelly. And as time goes on, once the pupa is there and it's capped over, the mite comes up and bites the pre-pupa, secreting special anticoagulants to keep the opening that she made open, and feeds on the pupa. Then she lays her first egg about 60 hours later, and it's going to be the male mite. And about every 30 hours after that, she'll lay additional eggs. Those eventually hatch into the little mites, nymphs, and they sexually mature. The males mate with the females or his sisters. Unless you're later in the fall of the year, whenever there's more mites, they can actually mate with their non-sisters because it can be more than one female mite laying eggs in there at a time. Later on, the bee emerges if it survives, and then the mites emerge with the bees, and then they can be transferred, and this is what we call the dispersal phase. So, female Varroa mite, in theory, can actually get into a cell and reproduce 7 times. Now, I did some math on this and kind of went down each time as they produce the mites. These 7 cycles can result from 1 mite to about 19,000 mites. Yet they all survive, which is not likely, but it's the theory that they could survive. That's a lot of mites. Okay. Here's the pupa. Pre-pupa is covered in founder's mites. So they used to call this a phoretic mite, and the term foricity actually means it's used to describe a non-permanent commensalistic interaction in which one organism attaches itself to another, solely for the purpose of travel without harm to either. Not the case. And Sammy Ramsey, you all know him, helped prove this actually. And so it's not really a phoretic mite. We now call it a dispersal phase. Dispersal phase. Mites embed themselves by biting into the fleshy tissue between the sternites. Like that. That's the usual location you'll find them. If you see mites on top of the bees, you have a very serious issue. Very serious issue. People say, well, I didn't see any mites. How many times do you see a bee on its back in your hive? Not many times. So they're there. Of course, they penetrate between the sternites into the fleshy tissue. And if you go online, you can look at some of Senator Ramsey's great pictures he took of this happening, where the mites are actually embedded into the tissue, leaving behind the little claws or feet, sucking and penetrating into that tissue, into the fat bodies. Mites feed on fat bodies, and John has alluded to that earlier, and Dr. Collison also. So our honeybees at this point are in a viral epidemic. Right now we know that they can transmit as many as 27 viruses, which is insane. In Kentucky, this is 1922, last year, 2022, they did some molecular pathogen. This was pulled off of the Informed Bee, Bee-Informed Partnership website. The Formwing virus B, which was known as the Varroa destructor virus, and the Formwing virus, they were two most common viruses. And then on down the line, you see others. That's interesting.
I know. I saw
that.
I know.
Yeah.
Is it a bee?
So here is a picture of a bee with the formed wings. Virus actually affected the bee with the virus inside the cell, and it caused the wings to be deformed. When the formed wing virus A does this, the formed wing virus B does not. At least that's my understanding. But, of course, if they get infected as an adult bee, you don't see all this. You just see maybe short lifespan. But in the infection of the larval stage, of course, can cause the formed wing virus, the formed wings. But the formed wing virus B induces damage like shortened abdomens, reduced brood nursing, that is, they can't produce food like they need to feed the young, and then also they have brain deficits. And John was talking about that earlier about the bees not able to do their tasks that they need to do. Varroa destructor mite is a Varroa destructor parasite, the mite, is a mechanical vector for forming virus A. Research has shown that it's actually a biological vector for forming virus B, which means that the virus actually replicates within the mite's gut. That's pretty amazing. It means that you only have more viral particles available to infect our bees. It's very dangerous. Other viruses that can transmit QB paralysis virus, the cashmere, like cyanide, we talked, Israeli acute paralysis viruses, many others. This is a frame, a picture of parasitic mite syndrome that Dr. Collison showed earlier. Close-up view. And you can see here, sometimes the hygiene behavior of the bees, they like to uncap the cells. Sometimes they'll uncap the cells, recap them, uncap them, recap them. They call it suppression of mite reproduction. They'll try to kill the mice essentially, and they'll die sometimes. But oftentimes, if it does enough damage to the larva pupa there, they'll just open it up and chew the head off the pupa. And they'll try to pull it out of the cell, get rid of it if they can. But you're going to see a spotty root pattern with parasitic mite syndrome. Varroa mites are present on adult bees. Mice can often be seen crawling across sealed brood. And mice can also be found in open brood cells, usually chewed down larvae like we should see here. And then lack of adult population over time. To the point that your colony, your cluster of bees is going to get smaller and smaller and smaller as time goes on. Because they're not being reproduced like they need to. Large colonies are aggravated by high Varroa mite levels and often show increased aggressive behavior. Lack of eggs and developing larvae due to unfit conditions for raising brood, sometimes supersede themselves because oftentimes blame the queen for the problem. Crawling bees with a high interest for bees with forming virus. Generally, there's no odor present until the juvenile larvae start to change color and decay, but you don't really talk about that much with parasitic mite syndrome as far as odor. This is the website John talked about, and this is kind of what it looks like online, the Honeybee Health Coalition, those that don't know. And they have different things that, all different things that they talk about and deal with, but Varroa management's more interested in here. And then here is the Varroa management decision tool, for those that don't know. You can click on this and go through. It's going to ask you a series of questions about if you're wanting to use organic or organic products, if you have honey super zone or honey super resolve, what time of the season are we in as far as your dormant phase or bee population. It's going to give you, and it's going to give you a different things you can use. It's going to talk about those different products. It has videos also to show you what you can use and how to use the products. Okay, it's all for free.
You did a previous slide.
Okay. That's the original. You go online like that, and you click on this page, and then you'll have your. It was like a huge PDF file of Varroa management. It's very large. It's like 8 pages. It's got a lot of information about Varroa. You can take a look at that. So, unhealthy virus-infected bees cannot produce winter bees, and that's the problem. You have to deal with these mites because you don't have an antiviral drug to give them to kill the viruses. And that's what Dr. Costello talked about later on today, the relationship between Varroa and viruses. And so, how long does a summer bee live? You know, about 6 weeks. How long does a winter bee live?
3 months, 4 months?
About 5 months. Something like that. And they have a total different physiology than summer bees do. They have to be able to survive to get through springtime to start the new year for the bees. So if your mites in summertime and late summer are sick from viruses, they cannot produce healthy winter bees. So you gotta kind of get good bees that can produce good bees that can produce winter bees to keep that colony going. Because if you don't do that, and those viruses get those bees, over time, it's time dependent, the cluster especially, as the summer bees die off, winter bees left behind, or if they're sick, the cluster is going to get smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller to the point that we have a cold snap like we just did, you know, down to 0 degrees almost. That cluster is probably going to die because they cannot produce enough heat to survive in order to get the food. So they may have food an inch away from them, but that cluster is too small to survive. It's not going to make it, you know. So it's critically important that you deal with these mites. So this is a cliche we use a lot. Beekeeping begins in August. That's when we've got to deal with this problem. And Dr. Collison alluded to earlier, testing 3-4 times a year. A lot of beekeepers don't have that kind of time. I don't. I work 6 days a week as a veterinarian. But I'm going to test those bees eventually in the summertime and treat them if I have mite loads. And the treatments need to be working. You need to test afterwards to make sure they have worked, because sometimes they don't for other obvious reasons. And I'll tell you something happened to me later on this past year. Testing for mites. This is the easiest way to do it right here. Dr. Carlson, if you don't want to do this, you you can do the drone brood removal to see if you can see, check them out, see if there's mites in there. If you're not doing, hey, you got my mites on the drone brood. But easy check. You can make your own devices. Like I've had made my own devices before, just by using screen, 8 hardware cloth and lids of open mouth, large mouth mason jars, and shake them good. But this is so easy here. Sugar stick, yeah, you know, it can be used, but to really get the mice off the bees, you have to shake those bees really hard. And you think that we have not killed the bees, but you probably have damaged them pretty good. They may die anyway. So the alcohol wash has been the most, the one thing that's the best as far as so far tried and true testing for mites. And use a half a cup of bees, which on the average is about 300 bees. And but sometimes I go so far to count them to make sure that my percentages are there. You know, maybe 2%. Maybe bees actually kill, unfortunately, to get those mites. And I can count the bees and do my math to get the number that I need. Easy check. The way you do this one is you fill it up right here. And they sometimes dilute the alcohol, just pure acetic alcohol is fine. Some people use dish detergent. I think it may cause a lot of foaming, but it may work. You can use windshield washer fluid, but alcohol's, you know, poured in there. And the way I collect my bees, you can take the cup, there's a line inside this cup here, and you can kind of run it down the frame to collect the bees. So by the way, you gotta make sure you don't hit the queen, okay? It's very important. But I just take a plastic clear tub of some sort, like a Rubbermaid tub, and I find my frame of bees, and I triple check and double check and quadruple check the queen's not on it. You want to get a frame really that's got some open brood. It's some kind of open brood because that's where the nurse bees are going to be, and that's where the mites are going to be on nurse bees most of the time. So that's going to be the highest percentage of mites on nurse bees. So you're going to take that frame, again, double check for queen. I'm just going to do a couple of jolts into the tub, and I wait a few minutes, maybe 30 seconds or so, all the fortune bees fly over there. I just take the whole tub and put it on plants in and just do a jolt to get all the bees into one corner and take my half a cup. I actually use a long handled half cup measuring cup. Scoop them out and pour them inside there, inside this right here, and cap them over. And I just set them aside for a second, and I put the frame back in the hive, and I put the rest of the bees back in the hive and close it up. Okay, and then I just make sure the lid's on good and tight and it's not cross-threaded. Before I do that, though, I shake it, kill the bees, open it back up, and fill the rest of the alcohol to this line here. So this is your first line, and this is your second line here. And I take that and I just really grab it. I pulverize them. I pulverize them hard. Shake it, shake it, shake it, shake it until I think that they're done, and I shake some more. And then I do a swirling method like this. I'll swirl it like this and kind of get as many mites as I can drop down. Hopefully I see 1 or 2 at the most. Then I do it again and shake some more. And then swirl it again and look to see if any more mites fall down and do my math on that. And this is from the website, Honey Health Coalition. Dormant phase with brood less than 1%. Dormant without brood less than 1%. Anything 1%, in my opinion, I'm going to treat. Because, you know, the alcohol wash is probably the best thing we have right now, but it's not infallible. So 1%, I'm going to probably treat those bees just because I don't want any mites. I've had people treat with 2%, and they really have big problems later on in the season. I generally harvest my honey here sometime around the end of July, and if I can get it done. And I put my first treatment on end of July, 1st of August. I try my best to do it. So there are various control methods. You can have non-chemical controls, like the spring bottom boards. Some people use them. I have all spring bottom boards. The theory on that is, those that don't know, if the mites are rimmed off the bees, they'll fall through to the bottom, to the outside, and it gets rid of them that way. It does have some drone brood removal, something called brood interruption, and then requeening with resistant stock, and we're going to go into those. Chemical controls, you have essential oils, you got Apogard, you got Apolifar, the acid, you have Monterey Creek strips, Formin Pro, oxalic acid, Apogard 3, and then you got the new product is in your other chemicals. Synthetic chemicals, Apovar, which is Amatraz, Amaflex, which is a new flash treatment that has just come out. Apistin and Chegmite, do not use those. Okay, at this point, they have shown high resistance to these particular chemicals. They still sell them, and you're risking at this point if you try to use them. If I was going to use one of those, if I was saying don't use them, I was just going to tell you. One is they're highly lipid soluble when they get into the wax and cause contamination for years and eons of time. So, but people still use them sometimes. If you're going to use them, you need to make sure you double check. You should make sure your mine's got killed. And I recommend not using those too. This is a drone brood frame. Everybody seen that before? Drone brood frame. And the two reasons for this plot, this purpose, here's a green plastic frame, and the cells are large for a drone brood, and you can use them for two reasons. One is for some drone brood removal. Also, people use them if they have raising queens to produce drones for mating. And people use them for that if they have an ingrown in for queens. You can also put a medium frame into a colony and into the deep, and they'll oftentimes form a comb on the bottom of it, and they're going to almost always produce drone brood. And when that gets capped over, okay, likewise, when that gets capped over, they'll draw it out for you in the springtime. They'll draw it out. She'll lay the whole thing up with drones, and because she feels, the size of the cell, she'll lay unfertilized eggs in this, which all become drones. And then when it's capped over, you want to pull this thing out and freeze it. And then a couple of days on that, at least you can put it back in. They'll open them up and clean it out, or you can give your chickens, if you have chickens. Either way, I don't use those. It's a lot of time to use those. But that's something you can do for a non-chemical method. Same thing with this, you just cut the back of the thing off, just cut it off, and stick it back in there. It just helps track. The drones have pheromones that track the mites more than the workers do. Plus they produce more mites inside the drone brood because they're in there longer than the workers are. And so you can cut that off. It just helps, it's just wing and aid to help. You can also do queen isolation, or what you call trapping the queen in something. You don't have to use this thing. This is actually for putting a frame into it for the queen inside of it to lay eggs in a frame in order to do wrapping. And but you can also put the queen in there. I never thought about this a while back. You put a frame in there with the queen and isolate her. And just when she gets it completely filled in, which is about 4 or 5 days or so, before it emerges, you can pull it out. Otherwise, you want to put your queen in a queen cage, so she's inside the hive and still feed her. But the thing is, she's not going to be laying for 2 weeks if you keep her for 2 weeks. I'm not sure the woman queen not laying for 2 weeks. And this way they can continue laying. She can continue laying. You got to pull the frame out and another frame in. It's a lot of work, but it could be worth it if you want to do a brood break. If that makes sense.
So the Varroa can't get in there?
No, they're in there, but you're going to do a brood break, so she can't lay eggs anywhere else.
Yeah.
See, And over time, by doing a root break, they'll emerge and they'll clean themselves and get rid of some of the mites. This is one of the things you can do is non-chemical control. It's called a root break, you know. Doing a split is a root break too. In one of the hives, you know, if you do a split. So this is just showing a colony here. There's a shim right here. Because you have to have a shim for the next product, and we're going to talk about chemical and other methods. This is called Apogard. And all of these you may know about already, but those who don't know, this is what you're here for. Apogard comes in a tray like this, also in a tub. And I'm going to talk to you about these. This is a medication we use for control wormites. So you can use this when it's greater than 59 degrees, less than 105. I would never use it up here at this point. I'd probably try to use it if I could, at least 80 or less myself. And of course in Kentucky, if it gets in the 90s or 85, high humidity, that could be a problem with this product here. Individual tray carries about 50 grams, or you can also do 51 milliliters from a tub. And I'll show you that in a minute. Twice at 2-week intervals on the Apogard. Temperatures over 77 degrees. A lot of folks are doing 26 cc's weekly for up to 4 treatments. Mostly because it can cause bees to come out and beard, and may sometimes stop them from laying for a while. So a nucleus colony, I use about 12 to 13 milliliters, half the amount. If it's just a 5-frame nucleus double stack, I use about 26 milliliters of those, and every 2 weeks on those products. You cannot use with the honey supers on. And also you want to treat when there's a population increase or decrease in the time of the year. And you do need to wear some gloves. But it's not really a toxic substance too much for you inhaling it as much, but you need to wear gloves. It comes in a tub, and this is what I use right here myself. It comes with a syringe. It's got a large opening, and you can actually suck up the product. And John does wax paper, folds it over. It comes with these little sheets here. You can stick it in there, and it goes in. Pull out the 51 if you do 51 cc. If it's all hot and humid, this product actually can be removed very rapidly from the colony. And I've noticed that I treated all my hives this past year, and unfortunately it was right before EAS, so it was very hot here. I was about to do the second treatment. I came back, and I started doing mite checks, and Billy, my friend back here, had like, it was 18 mites, wasn't it? 18 mites after treating with Apogard. I thought, what happened here? So the only thing I could figure was it's too hot. It was in the 90s. And they did not stay in long enough for the mites to emerge and kill them over a time period. And simply put, it just didn't do a good job for us. So I went back and treated the whole thing again when the temperatures got in the more moderate range, like in the upper 70s, and at that time it did a much better job. So you gotta be cautious with temperatures, all right? With this product here. This is what it looks like. You have to have a shim, like I said earlier. What I try to do is try to put the actual paper in the middle on top of the frames, right below the opening in the inner cover. This way, when I go back to do the second treatment, if the paper's still there, I'll just go inside and smoke a little bit, and then get them out of the way, and I go ahead and put the product on the paper again, without having to take the inner cover off. It does help save some time.
So they just walk around and disperse that in the hives, is that what happens?
They don't like it, and they carry it out. As they carry it out, it fumigates. It's a fumigate, fumigates. And it's a nice little odor to it. Yeah, it fumigates.
Have you ever had any of it's gone?
That's what I was gonna ask.
I had a nucleus colony that I put some in, and it had no ventilation on it at all. Every single bee came out on the front of that, including the queen. Yeah. So I was able to get it back in, you know, because all the product, it was too hot. It was too hot. You know, it wasn't like above the range of the product was listed, but it was still too hot. And they came out, every single bee came out, and including the queen. Luckily I was able to get them back in. They didn't fly away, you know. And that colony's become a double stack nucleus colony. He's doing great now. It'll be 100 years next year or so. All right. Have a shield. I make my own shields. You can buy them on the bees to make.
You put a bin over shim.
Say it.
You put a bin over shim.
I use vent boxes in the summertime. So it's just a little another box. It's 1x3 goes on top of the it goes on top of the inner cover, and I put the top cover on top of that for ventilation. And I leave those on all summer long. Vent boxes.
Basically, it's a bigger shim.
It's 1x3, yeah, what it is. And it has actually holes on all four sides, done with a 4-seater 1-inch bit and an angle so the rain doesn't get in. And I put screen on those, window screen on those, so that mice and things, beetles can't get in there. So I use those for summertime for ventilation. It's almost, you need really good ventilation for other parts we'll talk about, but this one here, I think it needs ventilation too. So, it's a fumigant. Next product is Apple Bar, and this is the Amatraz product we talked about with the little dog that had the mange. But Amatraz was used in veterinary medicine for a long time. It might have been also they used it in California called Tactic, I believe is what it's called. And people have used those products in Tactic especially for their bees off label illegally for years before this stuff came out, sure. So this one here is actually strip. It's actually not a natural product, not an inorganic product. It's inorganic. It's not an organic product. But it's actually one of the safer products on the market, actually. And it has a good kill rate. There possibly could be some resistance to the Amatraz at this point. But you want to use the population increase and decrease. Not when honey supers are on. You move 2 strips. You do 2 strips a week, 2 weeks prior to super. You're going to take them out. You're going to take them out before you put the supers on. You can do it after the supers are pulled off or before the supers are put on. Naturally, you would treat 42 to 56 days, but not more than 56 days, because this actually can cause resistance even more. The reason you do a longer time period is because if you open up at 42 days, if the bees have moved or closer to one side or the other, you move the strips over to where they are. Even in another, 14 more days, and then take them out. So you do that. Gloves. There's not much in the way of anything else with respiratory, just gloves, on those. Forming Pro, treat and population increase, peak or decrease, when the temperatures are greater than 50 or less than 85 degrees. Strips are placed between brood boxes, and that means you have to pull them apart. If you have a double stack, you gotta take it apart, which is effort, okay, time. And I can tell you, those top boxes especially can be very heavy. Those that don't know, a full box of honey that is a deep, weighs about 90 pounds. They're very heavy and backbreaking. You gotta be very cautious. So, option 1 is 2 strips for 14 days. Option 2, 1 strip on day 1 and the second strip in 10 days. And you must have good ventilation. In other words, you don't want any introducers. So even would recommend popping up the top cover a little bit to brace it up to get more ventilation in there. Honey supers can be on. It actually kills the mites, or at least keeps them from reproducing behind the cap cells. And that's the advantage of the product. Anything over 92 degrees Fahrenheit is associated with bee, brood, and queen death. Probably less than that, actually, to be honest with you. Less than 90 degrees, maybe more than 85 range or higher. A lot of folks won't use it, but when it's in cooler temperatures, You know, it can be a very effective product, actually. So, Monterey quick strips, same product, same Amatraz. The difference between the two is the wrap on the Formic Pro is designed to let the product be released slower. That's the difference. And again, treat a peak population increase, decrease. Same temperature range. The strips are placed in clean brood boxes again. Option 1, 2 strips for 7 days. Option 2, 1 strip. And then you do the second strip in 14 days. You must have good ventilation. By the way, the second option of both of these are probably the best way to do this. Least toxicity to the bees and least the chance of causing damage. Must have good ventilation. Supers can be on. Again, 92 degrees associated with bee brood and queen death. Personal protective equipment is important. The labels and all on these products, you need to read that. Option 3, you can also use peak population increase in dormant phase on this one. Greater than 50 degrees, it's just beta hops acid, 2 strips per brood per chamber, which means you gotta put 2 on top and 2 on the bottom, have a double stack, or 1 strip per 5 frames of bees. You can leave the strips in the hive for 14 days, but no longer than 30 days on the product. I've never used it before, but my understanding is it's real sticky and just gooey. It's hard to deal with. But I'm not sure people that I've talked to said it doesn't work very well. So I have no experience with the product. The new product is coming out, and I don't even know if, man, does anybody know in Kentucky, if you buy the product kit in Kentucky, in Man Lake, anywhere? Amaflex? Cog, you know? But, so, you, slowly but surely, been getting approval from each state to use this product. It's Amatraz in a gel form, and you have to have this dosing done. It's really made for the commercial beekeeper because you have to buy a whole bunch at one time, and it's not cheap, okay? And it's the flash treatment, and the dosing gun delivers 3 mLs with each trigger pull. There's 2 doses, you have to use 2 doses per brood box, which means you got to pull boxes apart and do 2 strips each box. And so it's a total of 4 per double stack. No honey supers, personal protective equipment, and you must have a certified applicator's license to be able to use it. A private license for that to be able to use it. And if you decide you want to demonstrate it at your meetings, you have to have even a more restricted license, like an applicator license, which is for a professional, and it's really a big long test. Those certification things, Kentucky has several more now, and we've done some at Boyd County. We've got the person at Boyd County already to use the product. But the program that's in Kentucky that is designed for this has absolutely nothing at all about this product in it. So your extension agent, whoever does it for you, is going to have to get someone to come in and talk about it, or they can talk about it. We had our state aviator, Cindy Potter, actually zoom in with us to do it, and got certified to do it privately. So, but I don't understand, because this next product, in my opinion, is much more toxic to the human than the Amatraz gel, Amaflex. You don't have to have any kind of certification to use this product here, but it's very toxic and very dangerous, actually. It makes no sense. But, so oxalic acid, which has been approved now for use with supers on, which means it would be only to be used as a knockdown on the dispersal phase mites, because it won't kill anything behind the cappings, which is where like 98% or roughly at least 85% of the mites are located behind the cappings. All right. But anyway, as its advantage, the other stuff does. It's not as toxic. maybe last 7 days in there, so it could possibly those things keep better than oxalic acids that I'm in on. That's what it's made for. So oxalic acid, 2 ways you can use the product is with the trickle method, just like it says up here, it means 35 grams into 1 liter of 1-to-1 sugar syrup. With the syringe, you trickle 5 ml directly onto the bees in each occupied space, maximum of 50 ml per colony. I've never used this option before. Second option, fumigation or vaporization. Use 1 gram per high body. There's been a lot of recent research in Florida, Cameron Jack and others, even the University of Georgia, about using the product. They're trying to get the amount that's listed legally to be higher, because they've seen it can be more effective at a higher dosage. And so that's something that may be coming on down the line. Hopefully, we're just looking at that change to be able to utilize it, to be better. Advantages: cleans the bee adults from mites during the broodless periods. Liquid is application may chill but don't closer. That's why I use it. I think one of the master beekeepers, Lane Simone, used it as the drizzle method for her bees, and she had several colonies that didn't do well at all. I think some of them died. So I'll be very cautious. Where's the time at this point? Where am I?
It's 12:25.
What's my cutoff on this?
12:25.
That's my cutoff?
No.
Oh, 12:30.
12:30.
Okay.
You know if oxalic acid has a shelf life? I've had a bottle for 3 or 4 years, and I'm just wondering.
It
It looks okay, but
probably not.
you don't think it does
I
have?
don't think it does.
So it's good after you're.
As long as it's sealed, I think some of the folks have actually put it in the refrigerator to keep it still, keep it cold, seal it up real tight, because it will absorb moisture. It can last a long time.
Leonard, have you tried the sponge method? Have you seen
I have
it?
not. I have not done that. It's not legal.
Okay. Good answer.
So, proper clothing. Now, here's the deal. You need to wear, when you use the vaporization method, it's critically important to use specifically a vaporizer on you. You gotta use one of those to make sure that you're safe. And it has to be one that actually absorbs organic acids. It's a very toxic substance, and you don't want to be inhaling this product ever. It causes permanent lung damage. All right. Respirators, respirators are important. And there are certain ones that you have to have for this organic acid. Proper gloves and goggles. We make various oxalic acid vaporizers. Now, if you have oxalic acid dihydrate, this would be considered to be vaporizing essentially, but the pure product actually sublimes, and that's just another thing that just makes it go from solid to vapor instantaneously. But we call them vaporizers because it does melt and it does this thing. But some of them you gotta actually control with your watch the time on them and temperature. This one here was a Manlake product of Kelly's Manlake now, and that has a timer on it. Push the button and it heats up, tells you beep, it flashes fast, and then when it starts cooling down, it goes slower, and it's done, it turns itself off. It's a pretty good product to use actually. It works pretty well. It's gonna have a 12-volt battery. So here's antioxidant. This is the one that's approved now. Oxalic acid. Other people use the Florida Laboratories brand. So this is a treatment here with oxalic acid. This actually is, I waited till late in the morning because the bees were foraging quickly, and they were getting out and eating some food, and they were trying to get back in, so I waited too late. You kind of want to do this really when the temperature outside is about 45 degrees roughly. It's the best time to do it. So you can kind of get in there and lock them off. Now I use a propane 110 oxalic acid vaporizer. They have these ceramic cups that they provide. You can buy extra of those and line them up. Put your oxalic acid in in here, and that, of course, upside down, you gotta put it upside down, and then push it on there, and then flip it over, and then it vaporizes. Doesn't require electricity, 30 degrees Celsius. Make sure you have your respirator on. They now make a product that's right here, which actually kind of replaces the cups. So you can just basically put the powder mixed in here as you pack it down into the plunger, stick that in. That stays on the vaporizer, and you just put it inside there and push it down without having to do the tilting thing or putting the cups on. And now they actually, the Oxybate Corporation has one that has battery pack 1820. So they have a battery power now too. And then this right here is actually the Insta-Vape, which is made by Orbeez. Our association just got one of those, and we formed out to our members, to utilize it. And that's it.